So many people got new baby chicks this past spring, and a lot of those people were first-time chicken owners. So I figured that now, as we move out of spring and start making our way through summer, I should make a video to update people to know what to do and what to be prepared for and what to expect as their young pullets start to develop into mature laying hens. So for starters, once your pullets reach the age of 16 weeks, you can switch them over to a layer feed. From the time they were chicks up until 16 weeks, you should have had them on a starter grower feed. But once they reach that 16-week mark, their bodies are starting to develop and mature and are soon going to prepare to lay their eggs. Some breeds may start laying right around 16 weeks. Others may take a little bit longer. That's perfectly normal. All breeds are different. Some mature a little bit faster than others. But in the meantime, this is a safe age where you can start giving them that layer feed so that their body can start holding on to the calcium and preparing to make its first eggshell. There are multiple different brands that you can choose from. There's so many out there that I can only touch on a few so that way I don't make the video too long. But for starters, I really like Nutrena. Nutrena is what I have been using. I'm a huge fan of their NatureWise line, and I've done other videos on my channel about the NatureWise line specifically, so check that out if you want to see it. I particularly like the Hardy Hen. It's an omega-3 rich feed. And I also like how the NatureWise line has yucca root in it, which helps lessen the manure odor and will help keep flies away due to that. But along with Nutrena, there's also Purina. I've never tried that one, but they have pellet and crumble options just like most brands do. And some brands even have a mash, which will obviously be finer and dustier than a crumble. This is all geared towards more personal preference. Pellets tend to be less messy and less dusty. There's also Kalmbach. That one's really popular too. Blue Seal makes some good chicken feed. A lot of local feed mills will even make their own recipe. And usually the local blends like that made at your little mom and pop feed stores are going to be a little bit cheaper than the big name brands. And then there's also Wholesome Harvest. I know a lot of customers of mine are really into the non-GMO feed lately, so if that's something that you're into, you could check out the Wholesome Harvest line. That one was made right in Maryland, which is where I'm from. And although I have not personally tried that one myself for my hens, I have heard good things about it. After you switch them over to their new layer feed, which, by the way, just like the chick feed, you want to make sure it's available to them at all times. You can also prepare their nesting boxes if you have not already done so. You're going to want to put nesting pads in there or some kind of soft material so that way it stays clean and it provides a soft place for the egg to land and not break or get messy. And plus, you want your hens to be comfortable too while they're laying their egg. Hens like privacy, especially when they're vulnerable and laying the eggs, so make sure their nesting boxes are somewhere nice and safe. I keep mine inside of the coop, which is what most people do. And there's different things that you can use to create padding in the nesting boxes. I like to order nesting pads off of Amazon, and you can also find similar ones at your local feed store. I'll put a link to the ones I like in the description below. But I like to use the ones that are biodegradable, and you can compost them, makes cleanup really easy, it's eco-friendly. And they tend to last a good long time, so I really like these. You can also find other ones online that you can actually wash and reuse, which will save you money. It'll just take a little bit more time and effort when you have to clean them off. Some people use straw, but I have heard some people say that attracts mites more to the nesting box if you use straw. And then you can also use pine shavings, and pine shavings are always good because they help block odor, and if your hen accidentally breaks an egg while in the nesting box, the pine shavings will really help absorb it and keep it dry. So those are just a few options. A lot of first-time chicken owners wonder, how will their hen know to lay their egg in the nesting box? Well, you can go to the feed store or Amazon. A lot of different pet stores have these, and you can get fake nesting eggs. So basically, it's just an egg that looks real. You put it right in the nesting box, and your hens should instinctively want to lay their eggs where other eggs are. So when they see them in there, that should teach them to start laying their eggs right next to it as well. Another little tip is to make sure that your chickens have plenty of water. Now, obviously, you always want to make sure your animals have access to fresh water no matter what. But when they're laying their eggs, that's going to take a little bit more energy out of them. So you might need to check their water bowls more frequently because they might start drinking more water since their bodies will be working harder now. Some other things to keep on hand once your hens approach laying age is obviously an egg basket or an egg apron, which some people like to wear. This just makes collecting eggs a lot easier, and you're less likely to break them because you can put them in a safe thing to transport them from the coop into your house. And then this one's important. You also want to provide them with the option to have a calcium supplement if they feel that they need it. You can achieve this by adding oyster shell to their diet. You can get oyster shell from most stores in either a small 7-pound bag or even a 50-pound bag. Oyster shell is a natural calcium supplement, and obviously since your hens will be laying eggs and that will be taking calcium out of their bodies, this can help replenish that. If the chicken's body is lacking it, they will naturally crave this supplement and they will go and eat it on their own. No need to force it on them. Just put this somewhere in their coop or in their run where they can easily access it as needed. You can put it in a dish, you can mix it into their feeders, or what I do is I put it into a low hanging bird feeder and I let them access it from that. That way it keeps it safe and contained so it doesn't wash away in the run if we get bad weather, and it doesn't go to waste. I also like this method because it keeps it off of the ground, which will prevent it from getting into their feces, because we don't want that to contaminate it since they'll be eating the oyster shell. And I feel that this is worth mentioning because a lot of people often mistake the two, but poultry also need grit in their diet, but not just the laying hens. Oyster shells that we just touched on are only for egg-laying poultry because it's a calcium supplement, so they need it. But grit is for all classes, all ages, all gender of poultry. Grit is basically just small stone, and the poultry will ingest this as they feel that they need it. The reason they do this is because they swallow their feed whole. They don't have teeth, so they can't chew it up. So by swallowing the grit will help break up their feed while it's in their gizzards, and then they can digest their feed better. But since it is often confused with oyster shell, I figured it's a good opportunity to touch on the differences here. Once your hens start to lay eggs, you can even keep their eggshells after you're done cooking with them, and you can crush them up, and some people bake them to dry them out, some people lay them out in the sun to dry them up. But once you dry up and crush up those eggshells, you can toss it back to your chickens and let them eat that for a calcium supplement. The reason you want to crush them up is, one, that makes it easier for them to swallow, but two, you don't want them to associate that with the egg itself. You want it to be unrecognizable, because if not, they may associate that with the eggs that they're laying, and then they'll start eating their own eggs before you have a chance to collect them. And egg eating is a really hard habit to break, so you want to try to avoid that from the start. The first several eggs that your young pullets start to lay may look a little bit small, and that's perfectly normal. It's just because it's a young bird. As they continue to grow and age and reach full maturity, that egg should reach a more normal size. Now, if you have a bantam breed, of course, their egg will always be small just because it's a smaller breed of chicken. It's also common for new hens that are just starting out to lay their eggs to sometimes lay a double yolk. So that's normal. Be on the lookout for that. It's always exciting when you see it. You can usually tell right away before you even break the egg open because the eggshell will look a lot longer. So those are just the basic things to be prepared for and some items you might want to keep on hand as your pullets approach laying age. Now, of course, there's a lot more that goes into chicken care than just that. So if you want to learn more, feel free to check out my channel and see all the other care videos and tips that I share on there. I have videos where I go over feed, treats, supplements, all sorts of hacks, care tips for all different kinds of weather, you name it. So hopefully this is helpful to the new owners out there, and I hope that you can find the other videos on my channel helpful as well.